Welcome to my N50 Carimoose Ranch channel. 15 years ago, in the late winter and early spring of 2012, a chain of unexpected events began unfolding that gave my three sons, a close friend, and me the chance to lease a remote camp north of the 50th parallel in the province of Quebec. In this video, we're going to look at what it was like 15 years ago, in the beginning. But before we get into that, let me take a minute to tell you a bit about me and why I've wanted to share this experience with you. When I was about 12 years old, I dreamed of living in a place like this. Back then, I planned, when I grew up, to go west to British Columbia, what at that time I believed was the last frontier. I wanted to make my way into the interior, find an isolated valley with a stream or lake in it, where I could build a small log cabin and live there, far from civilization. As the years passed, I came to realize that I was not going to move to BC and live in the woods, but it didn't mean that I didn't sincerely want to. I finally got a chance to taste a bit of what I wanted when I was asked to join some business associates on a moose hunt in the Lac Saint Jean area of northern Quebec, early in the 1990s. We spent 2 weeks in the woods, and I experienced quiet like I had never known before. Did you ever hear a chickadee fly, or listen to the sound of air whistling over a duck's wings as it glides to a landing on a lake? Or the haunting cry of a loon echoing over lake waters in the darkness of a northern night? I never had. The whole experience was therapeutic for me. It literally changed my life. Before the end of that hunting expedition, I had booked a fishing trip for the end of June the following summer, so I could return there with my two oldest boys, who would be 8 and 5 by then. I wanted them to be able to experience it as I had. I didn't know it then, but I had come down with an affliction my son Mike named black spruce fever, and once you get it, well, there's no cure. That's the why, so let's get back to the how things fell into place to allow us to lease this camp. After several meetings and looking over many photos that Yvon, the owner at the time, had taken of the camp and surrounding area, I was definitely interested, but still wanted to actually see it firsthand. Yvon told me that it was really far and a difficult trip. It was now late April. Still, undeterred by the admonitions, I pressed Yvon. "When can we go?" I asked. I was anxious to get a look at this place. He finally suggested late May, the 22nd. He believed the snow would be gone by then, and the roads would be passable. But by May 17th, reports from people he knew in the area, I think Réjean, were that the camp was still buried in 2 feet of snow. But miraculously, just 2 weeks later, the snow was gone, the roads passable, and we were good to go on the 5th of June. We left at 1 o'clock in the morning in 2 vehicles, each bringing along an ATV for exploring the territory. The drive in all was nearly 500 miles or 800 kilometers, and half of that would be on gravel forestry roads. We reached the city of Alma on the east side of Lake St. John around 7:30 in the morning. Stopped for breakfast and met up with the previous owner, Réjean, whom I had mentioned earlier. A meeting I suspect Yvon had arranged. Réjean had sold his lease to Yvon several years earlier and now wanted to buy it back, but I had first refusal. From there, it was a 4.5-hour push to what Yvon called the parking area, about 5 miles or 8 kilometers in on a dead-end branch road. That's as close as you could get, even with a 4-wheel drive road vehicle. We unloaded the ATVs and used them to carry our gear and ourselves over the last 250 yards or so of steep, rugged trail that led to the rocky lakeshore. An old, red, beat-up fiberglass boat was patiently waiting for us where it had been left the previous fall, upside down and tied with a sturdy rope to a small black spruce. We flipped it over and slid it into the water. Yvon had brought along a 4-horsepower Johnson outboard to power us across the 500 yards of open water to a sandy beach area in front of the rudimentary shelter described in the lease, which was the camp. These camps, as per regulations at that time, could be no more than 14 feet square, with no foundation, electricity, or pressurized water supply. And that's exactly what this was, a rudimentary shelter. Strangely enough, kind of just what I was looking for. As we made our way up the path from the lake to the camp, I prepared myself to see a rodent-infested disaster, like our Black Powder Club cabin on Mount Echo had always been, full of nests, droppings, rodent destruction, the works. But when Yvon removed the warning tape tied across the porch stairs, pulled up the bear deterrent spike strips, and opened the door, I was stunned. The place was pristine. The air smelled fresh, dishes stacked clean and right side up on the shelves, something we don't even do at home. I really couldn't believe my eyes, but that's how it was. We moved our gear from the beach to the camp. There were 4 bunks inside, a table, 4 chairs, a chrome rocker, a sink that drained into a 5-gallon bucket, and a small wood-burning stove with the exterior smoke pipe dismantled so it could survive the winter. There were 2 gas refrigerators and a 3-burner propane camper stove. With most of our gear stowed, Yvon fired up the stove and prepared a quick lunch. We then had Andre ferry us back across the lake so we could set out on the ATVs for me to get a first-hand look at the surrounding area, while Andre and Gordon fished for speckled trout in the lake. That afternoon, Yvon and I covered about 50 miles, 80 kilometers, on forestry roads and trails he traveled for years. Moose, caribou tracks, and bear sign were everywhere. Lakes dotted the landscape. When he'd shown me all around the area, we returned to the lake shore and Andre came over and ferried us back across. The next morning, Yvon asked me to guide him around the territory, kind of like a quiet test to see if I'd paid attention. I had, and he was surprised. No one could have been more impressed than I with what I'd seen. As I stood atop the Paradise Lake Lookout, our name for it, I thought to myself, you have to make this deal. You have to. I was hooked. This place was perfect. Remote, quiet, truly vast, dotted with lakes to fish in, and crisscrossed by roads where moose, caribou, and bear tracks were easy to spot. The only access to this incredible territory I'd explored the day before was a dead-end road that stretched over 2 mountain ridges into the valley where the camp nestled on a long, narrow lake. The nearest neighbor's camp was 10 miles away. To me, that meant we could realize a level of solitude and tranquility few people could ever experience in the modern world. This was everything I'd imagined. Vast, silent, replete with game sign, and truly isolated. From those hilltops, the panorama stretched as far as the eye could see. Black spruce forest recovering from past forestry operations, rolling toward distant lakes. Scarred by humans, yet still wild. Nature was already reclaiming it all. Old trails softening under moss, young trees pushing through the gravel, the boreal forest slowly erasing every trace of human passage. Come along as we explore this vast paradise. Battle nature's relentless reclamation effort on the access routes. Observe its indigenous inhabitants, moose, caribou, bears, and others, and savor the profound solitude only the far north delivers. 15 years of adventures, victories, defeats, and unforgotten animal encounters await. We're just at the beginning. Come. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button as well. Thank you for watching. See you next time.